My topic today is emergent urbanization and high-rise design philosophy in China. So here are the details of my presentation. First, I would like to talk about the new progress of urbanization in China. And the second part of the presentation is the new concept of super-tour design in China. I will analyze the international background and talk about the four concepts in China. That is about the integration of production and emission reduction and green concept, the intelligent building concept, as well as human care concept. So first of all, I would like to review with you the urbanization process of China in the past 30 years, which has been renowned worldwide. From 1978 to 2013, the population of urban residents increased from 170 million to 730 million. Urbanization rate increased from 17.9% to 53.7%, and the number of cities increased from 193 to 658. Three city groups, the Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei area, the Yangtze River Delta area, and the Pearl River Delta area, take up about 2.8% of China's territory, yet contains 18% of the total population. But there are issues emerging. That is, the city and industries are not well integrated, and there is the over-condensation of population, and urbanization relies very heavily on the urbanization of land, and therefore the urban services have very poor quality, including public transportation, pollution, and so on. These are challenges for the further progress of the society. So how should China draw on the past 30 years' development and push forward urbanization? We have to think about these questions. So before we do such research and set up such concepts, we have to look at the sustainable cities concepts from other countries. They have been doing research for years, and now I have three international concepts to share with you. The first was published by European Commission in 1990. It's the Green Book of Urban Environment. It proposes the compact city, which is about high density of job creation, population, and residents. And also it mixes different functions. By having such a compact city of multiple functions, it can help enhance the efficiency of the city and allocate resources. And meanwhile, it creates the conditions for people to reduce emission and rely more on public transportation, walking, and bikes. And the second is Urbanism Charter. It suggests the use of public transportation. And thirdly, in year 2000, the American Smart Growth Alliance encouraged efficient, intensive, and compact urban development. These were three key international concepts that led the trend for policy making, which all talked about resources saving, intensive, compact, and sustainable. Basically, they propose green concept and energy saving so as to make cities more livable and efficient. So how has the progress of China's urbanization been? Based on such understanding of international ideas and theories, China has explored its way of sustainable urban development in terms of planning, implementation, and experiment. First, with regard to planning, the Chinese government has done a lot. For example, on July 18, 2008, Ministry of Environmental Protection of China, the Chinese Academy of Sciences, issued a national ecological function zoning release. It talked about a rational allocation of land and resources, and it has divided China into different zones for ecological use. And secondly, on October 24th, the State Council issued national land use planning to guide the society use land efficiently and reasonably. And on December 21st, 2010, the State Council issued the country's major functional area planning notice, which talks about efficient and rational use of the space and land in China. And in December 2013, the Central Urbanization World Conference again talked about increasing the efficiency of land use in urban areas, reduce carbon emission, and it proposed the reduction of emission and attention to the ecosystem. So these were about planning of China's urbanization. The government has done a lot. And in terms of the policy, the implementation, in 2014, National Development and Reform Commission, Ministry of Housing and Urban Rural Development, and Ministry of Land and Resources made a joint implementation of the 3 joint rules. It talked about improving the national economic and social development planning, urban development planning, and land use and ecological planning. So it discouraged the emergence of ghost cities or unreasonable planning and construction of new towns or parks. It proposed the long-term sustainable development. And in terms of the experiments, in late 2013, a mega city of China, Guangzhou, has done the 3 joint rules experiment to set up the control lines for the city construction and land use. And also in Beijing this year, it implemented the 3 joint rules to revise its planning to give a better structure of the urban planning. And based on that, in January 2014, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Rural Development issued a circular regarding the development of urban rural development and set some targets for us. And because of these policies, experiments, and concepts, China is now pushing forward its new urbanization steadily. In March this year, NDRC and other authorities published the National New Type Urbanization Plan, which will last until year 2020. It will be a key guideline for China's urban development. It proposes the balance and positive interaction between urbanization and industrialization, and proposes the integration of these two. And it emphasizes the use of the size of the land being used and proposed compact urbanization. And it is about the overall planning, the information network and public transportation network, and it proposed low carbon and green development and urbanization. And just now we talked about the overall background for China's urbanization and construction. And in this process of urbanization, China's super tall buildings will face a new future. Before we actually study this area, we can see that there's a lot we can learn from other countries. 100 years ago, in Paris, there has been the radiant city concept proposed in the urban planning. In the past years, people wanted to make use of the tall and super tall structures to create such a radiant city, which was proposed 100 years ago in Paris. And in the first decade of 21st century and a decade before, China's super tall buildings emerged very quickly. Burj Khalifa in UAE surpassed 800 meters, and the Kingdom Tower in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, will be the first building in the world to surpass the 1,000 meters height. And in 2014, CTBUH has published the roadmap on future research needs of tall buildings. CTBUH worked with other international organizations to do the questionnaire and surveying to understand 11 fields. Such a roadmap actually points out the latest trends and concepts for super tall buildings, and is a very good reference for China's future development of super tall buildings. Because of China's analysis and research on urbanization, and because of what we learned from other parts of the world, including the roadmap from CTBUH, China has put forward the 4 new trends of its super tall buildings. It covers the economy, intelligent development, intelligent technologies, industrialization, and urbanization. It's about the integration of urbanization and industrialization, green development, intelligent buildings, and social services and human care. First of all, let's look at the compact integration of city and urbanization and industrialization. In China's national planning, it already proposed the industrialization based on cities and megacities and develop the unique strengths of medium and small-sized cities and make the cities mutually complementary, mutually supplementary, and transform the functional zones of different cities. And in CTBUH roadmap, it also talked about the economy and integration of industrialization and so on. That means that under the backdrop of the world's urbanization and industrialization, we need to have more differentiation and segmentation of industries and help explore the new types of super tall structures. And we have to look at the cities by first, second, and third tier categories. The first tier cities are mostly financial and trading services. This is the financial zone of Lujiazui, Shanghai. So there have been 400 Chinese and foreign financial institutions, 100 regional headquarters of multinational companies, 100 foreign companies, and some domestic companies' regional headquarters here in Lujiazui. And one key is that we need to have the right match between the local industry and the architecture. So how do we explore new industries, the tertiary industries, and more segments of the industry? For example, healthcare, scientific research, education, finance, and so on. These are things we need to pay attention to in future. In some countries, these super tall buildings already have such functions. For example, the Tokyo College of Fashion is more than 200 meters tall, and this Nagoya building is more than 200 meters tall, and the Roosevelt University and the Osaka Museum of History. They are super tall buildings, new representatives. And while exploring the tertiary industry, we should also still pay attention to primary industries such as soilless agriculture, cultivation of fruits and vegetables, and other urban agriculture. For example, many experts have proposed vertical farms to make use of and recycle the urban waste and to develop clean technology and agricultural production. And also, we should further explore the segmentation of secondary industries, including new materials, renewable energy, and so on. So just now I talked about the background, about the secondary and tertiary industries. About the compact hybrid city, it's a new idea based on such a backdrop. It actually gives us great potential to develop these super tall buildings because we want to save land and efficiently satisfy the diversified needs of the society. We have this kind of urban complex and underground development which are very robust. My organization, ECADI, has participated some of the projects in China and accumulated a lot of experience. For example, in Yujiabao financial district of Tianjin City, it's almost 4 square meters, and the The total floor area is almost 10 million square meters, and this is the Shanghai Expo land lot and also the Wangjiadun Central Business District, which used to be a military airport but is later discontinued in use, and they are transformed into good city complex. And these are different types of urban complexes. They have hundreds of thousands square meters of floor area or even millions of square meters, which are close to small towns and cities. And because of the vertical and horizontal combination, they have diversified functions, intelligent management, and good combination of features and functions. For example, now we are seeing this Tianjin Golden 117 financial tower, which is more than 500 meters tall. And in Shanghai, IFC is 260 meters, and this is Wuhan Greenland Center, which is 636 meters tall. And under construction also, the Zhongnan Center of Suzhou City will be 729 meters tall. These are new obstacles that will have similar trends. That is, at the top is the premium business clubs, and in the middle, these are super 5-star hotels, apartments, and some of the class 5A offices.
So these projects, have a very good functional distribution and a configuration. And second, we would like to talk about the sustainable development with environmental friendliness. Actually, according to the Chinese government, we have the plan to really develop this kind of an eco-friendly city. According to the urban development planning, efforts shall be made to save the energy resources among other types of resources, and to compulsorily, for example, implement the green certification system. So according to CTBUH, of course, there is like the cost kind of a cycle cost analysis, and also some other related important themes on conducting assessment of the cost throughout the life cycle. So these are very important concepts for sustainable development. According to the technical characteristics, we look at the density, location, and traffic, and also regional microclimate, the lighting, shading, and ventilation, etc. And it's still about technical characteristics. It also includes construction planning, the functional layout, and a vertical layout, and this kind of indoor environmental quality, and reducing the use of machinery and equipment. So we cover multiple fronts and different dimensions. And when it comes to the sustainable development of super high-rise buildings in China, yes, those different dimensions of technical characteristics are very important. The system is expanding from two directions. First, like the general certification system, for example, the Green 3-star system of the LEED standards. And going forward, it's going to look at different types of architecture. The scope of the evaluation is going to be further enlarged. And second, originally it was only focused on one phase and a stage of the design, but now efforts are made to transition towards the entire life cycle. For example, LCC, life cycle cost, is one of the examples. In addition, China is also trying to borrow experiences and standards from Europe and USA down the road. In the past, it was like a qualitative kind of extensive measurement. Now, we are trying to focus on a quantized, intensive measurement, and we try to use metrology and measurement tools that help us to increase the precision of the results of the calculation. So we can look at the life cycle carbon emission measurement techniques, and for design, construction, operations, and dismantling across different phases of the life cycle of the building, and real-time control and monitoring is put in place, so that to assess different types of elements, incorporate all those different phases into the entire life cycle carbon emission kind of a calculation. So originally it was like a qualitative pattern, but now it is more quantized pattern. Therefore, it is going to support further and effectively the future decision making. The next, the safety, efficiency, and quality improvement of the intelligent building concept. according to like the urbanization plan, efforts shall be made to promote IoT, cloud computing, and big data. And according to CTBUH, it also proposes the use of a BIM among other software technologies. All these are giving rise to actually the forward-looking feature of the smart system for super high-rise buildings in China. First we need to have like the unified platform. Second, we have the harmonized information system. Third, the unified kind of a metrology and a measurement system. Fourth, the unified information feedback system. First, the platform. We construct the physical platform like the cloud. Second, the unified information transmission, connected with the big data, and the unified measurement system. We collect the data, we have a mining of the data, and we try to extract the value from the information we have. And then the harmonized feedback and evaluation. We try to peep into the effectiveness of the evaluation. So we have a feedback loop, and we can go back to the original step and make a better performance. So, the smart super high-rise buildings will integrate different systems so we can achieve an optimal, kind of management. We have different physical platforms and systems that are up and running throughout the entire life cycle of the building. And we try to make sure we have like the real-time dynamic control and surveillance. We can continuously improve and upgrade along the way. So this is a schematic drawing. For people, we need to meet our physiological needs and security needs as well as emotional benefits needs. In the future, we need to look at the new trend of the super high-rise buildings. We need to make the basic requirements of the basic operations of the building. Then going forward, based on the support of the big data, we can have a very good grounds based on which we're going to make better decision making. So finally, we can enable the occupants in the building to meet their emotional needs, and by deeper level of intelligence and smart ability, so we're able to really make this kind of buildings more and more smart. And we should also consider social service and also kind of exchange experience. And according to the roadmap of a CTBUH, there are some contents in this regard as well. So for high-rise buildings and basic amenities to guarantee the livelihood of the people, we also look at the psychological differences of different social groups. Then we can give it a human touch. I mean, our practices. You can look at some architectures in the Western world, for example, in Virginia state in the United States to take care of the senior people, and also in Oregon, there is community to take care of the senior. So actually, the super high-rise buildings are also trying to create an open public atmosphere where people can exchange views with each other, especially people with different cultural backgrounds, with different ethnic grounds. They can really gather in this kind of an open community to psychologically really interact with each other. We also are able to achieve exclusive customization. This is a sky chapel. As we know, finally, we are all originated from nature. By our hard work and effort, then we improve our physical environment. As a result of our efforts we put in, we also make the nature a better place. So now, we're likely to achieve the dream that the height of the skyscraper is likely to achieve 1 kilometer. So in the future, in building sustainable vertical cities, we will go deeper in our thinking and effort. So my institution will work hand in hand with all of you so we can create a better future for our future life. Thank you.